got in the middle so that everybody can hear. And other than that, I'm pleased to introduce to you Ms. Angel Lewis. She's our negotiator and today's leader. So with that in mind, Ms. Angel Lewis.
Wow, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. I'll do your.
Good afternoon. I do apologize for being tardy. We were coming up from Belleville, and I kind of guess between the traffic and the time, so I do apologize for that. But Judge, can I ask before we start, and we have an agenda. Everybody has one yet? Patsy's going to pass that out. Can we please, since we're in the church, and where I come from, we always pray that I'm going to ask, would you mind leading us in just a quick prayer? Okay.
Folks, please, just out of respect, whether you're religious or not, bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this meeting today. We have a lot of people looking for some insight, and what we're praying for is that you would give us clarity of mind and purpose so that we know what you have in mind. We know that we're looking for the safety of our neighborhood and the safety of everyone who comes through it. So I ask that you provide blessings, Ms. Lewis, the other consultants, that they can be clear in their speech, and more importantly, that we will listen and ask good questions, questions that you would have us to ask, so we'd have a good feeling about what's going on. We ask this all in your son, Jesus' name, amen.
Okay. First of all, I have a few notes, and again, my name is Angel, and it's so befitting to have an angel in the church, right? So we're gonna have a good meeting today. But anyway, first of all, welcome to everybody. Thank you for taking the time to come out today to get information on this project. I wanted to acknowledge the pastor and judge and the trustees and the members of this church for allowing us to have the meeting here. When I called Judge Bailey to ask him if we can have a meeting, he was so gracious to say the church would certainly be available for this meeting. So we thank you again. Again, my name is Angel Renee Lewis. I am a land acquisition right-of-way agent. I am not an employee of IDOT. I am a consultant that IDOT has hired to help facilitate the land acquisition part of it. And I've been doing this for over 20 years. And what I do is I sit down most of the time with the property owners, and I extend the offer on behalf of IDOT or another client. And mostly what I do is according to state and federal regulations. So it doesn't matter whether the property's in Illinois, in California, Texas, wherever. What I normally do per the federal regulations is the same. So you can always rely that I'm going to be fair, reasonable, but I cannot make any decisions for IDOT, but I can help you through this process. So that's what they've hired me to do. So, and I brought with me a realty specialist in my office, Patsy McDonald. Patsy, raise your hand. If you call my office, my information is on that agenda at the very bottom. I'm going to probably be talking to you guys quite often through this process until this is all done. But if you call my office, then you'll probably be talking to me or Patsy. But we're here to help you. Okay. Now I'm going to, again, I'm Angel Renee Lewis, and I'm going to ask Billy Owen if she would raise her hand. This is Billy. Billy, let's stand up for a second. Billy is the engineer from IDOT. Billy's going to be here to answer probably most of your questions regarding the project and everything else that you may have regarding the actual IDOT, the project, the construction phase, and everything else. And she can introduce her team, but she's going to have an opportunity to speak and answer your questions. So, Billy, who do you have with you? Okay, so these are some consultants to IDOT that they know more than about the project. So we'll have you in a minute, Billy. We'll have you come up and speak. But what's the purpose of this meeting? Again, the reason this meeting was set up is basically for two reasons. It's because few of the parcels that I'm responsible for negotiating, there's multiple owners. And there's no way that I can sit down with each and every individual because, like, for example, first of all, how many people are here from Norwood Lane? Okay. And how many here are here from the trustees of Frontenac? Okay. So both of those streets are private streets, and they both have multiple owners and stakeholders. So there's no way I can sit down with one without having everybody together because, for example, on the Norwood Lane property, everybody, and there's 9 different property owners and stakeholders on that parcel, but every single person would have to agree. They would have to agree on everything, sign everything. So there's no way. So when I'm talking to a group, I need to be talking to you all at the same time. And I'll talk to the Frontenac people as well. So I needed to bring you together so that we can talk about this. So that's the reason. And then I wanted you to be able to meet and talk to Billy and understand more about the project, the construction phase, and anything else that you may have regarding that matter. Some housekeeping. Where are the members? Some members of the church. They're right there. Okay. There's the restrooms in case somebody has to go is out front. Okay, we have the restrooms out front, and of course, what I ask, since this is a meeting, is that we are respectful and courteous and mindful of questions and mindful of what I don't want it to be is I know some people may be a little bit confused or upset, but we have to be respectful of one another. So we're going to have you, we're going to try to answer your questions as best we can. But if there's something that I don't know, or if there's something that perhaps Billy can't answer, we'll just have to take it down and get back with you. But we just have to be respectful of one another as we're talking and answering and asking questions. We are in the house of God. Amen. Okay. So anyway, right now I'm going to ask Billy to come up, and then she'll have an opportunity to answer questions regarding the actual project, the actual construction phase, the actual whatever you have regarding that. And then I'll come back and talk about the land acquisition part of it. Is okay, Billy? And anyway, I always wanted to be a teacher, so I love this right here.
And I am an engineer, so I do not love this. So I'm here today just to help, facilitate this meeting. I don't have any formal presentation prepared. We are actually working towards a public involvement meeting for everyone, even the commuters that use this road, not just the property owners here. I think we're looking at middle of November. We don't have the date set. We don't have the facility set yet. So that is something that's in the works. But I'm more than willing to answer questions. We had public meeting back in 2018, I think, on the phase 1 side of things. So it's been a while. Some of you may not have been living in this area at that time, but it's a double roundabout with little connector piece in between. And then there's a bypass lane if you're coming off of Homer Adams and going towards Pierce. So you can bypass both roundabouts, but that's the gist of the big project. Lauren has some phasing plans and detour plans. If anyone wants to see those, I think you only brought 8 copies because we didn't know there's going to be this many people. So if anyone wants to see those, we can pass those out. You guys can share. The plan right now is to hopefully get started next year. It all depends on the land acquisition process and the utility relocations. But and you can see in the layout here, we are planning to do the Cook Street reconstruction first, and it'll be done in 2 parts so that there's always access to that church. And then once that's built, hopefully next construction season, then they'll wait till the following construction season to close Route 3 and detour traffic, and then build those 2 roundabouts in 1 construction season. So that's the plan for the closure. So we can get in and get out quicker, have a better end product. Whether that's 2023 and 2024 or 2024 and 2025 is yet to be seen. all, like I said, all depends on the land acquisition process and the utility relocates. Does anybody have any specific questions or anything I can answer about the overall project? Go ahead. Yes. It's the like frontage road over by the evangelical church.
This is a done deal, correct?
Yes, yeah, the project is funded. We've done all of the phase one project reports, environmental clearances, all that stuff is complete. So we're at 90-ish% complete plans right now. We're not completely finalized. But yes, we are moving forward with the project.
I'm going to ask one of our members to grab the microphone. And if anyone wants to ask a question.
Hello, testing.
Hear what you're talking about. There you go.
Who's talking?
What's the estimated cost of this project?
Goodness, I don't have that off the top of my head. 6-7 million, something like that.
Can you tell me where you have two other roundabouts this close with this much traffic?
I don't know the traffic counts. I do know we did a double roundabout project in Belleville. It's Route 13 and 158, and it's the ramps coming off of
Where
Route.
the off ramps coming off?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. It's a little bit different, but.
Yeah, I
okay.
mean, that's the only one in our district that I'm aware of. That's a double roundabout like this.
These are about what, 500 feet apart?
Do you guys know that, the distance between?
You call for a temporary easement on Frontenac for 3 years. 5 years? What are we doing with that temporary easement for 5 years?
I'm not sure why it's 5 years.
Let's say it's 3 years. Why are we doing it for 3 years?
It's my understanding that they established a period of 5 years, but if the project takes 2 years or 3, then it's released. But they keep it for 5 years in case if something happens with funding, but.
I'm okay with that.
Probably.
What are you going to use the temporary easement for?
It depends on the parcel.
Right, it's on the parcel, and I'll share that with you. Now you're with.
Frontenac.
Okay. I'll share that.
Okay, do you have drawings that show how the roundabout's going to lay out on the existing properties?
Well, the exhibits we brought today won't have property lines on them, but you probably have that for negotiations.
These exhibits show property lines. Now, do you have exhibits that show the roundabout and how they lay on these properties?
Yeah, we don't have it with us today. I mean, we can create it and pass it through her for the negotiation side.
Okay, I mean, do you have them?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the staging or phasing layout we have doesn't have property lines on them, but.
The drawings that I brought today were just the staging plan, just part of the project we've done. And so for clarity purposes, we take off the property lines on that, just to show the basic staging. The regular construction plan, we have all the property lines on it. Where everything.
Okay, so you're the engineers. When you looked at this in the beginning, did you look at other alternatives, or was this what the mayor wanted and that's what they pushed?
I'm pretty sure I wasn't part of phase one, sorry, I'm a phase 2
Okay.
plans project engineer. But I'm pretty sure with phase 1, they did have multiple alternatives.
So, I mean, you couldn't find a better alternative than the two roundabouts this close together at a lot less money? That's my understanding.
Yeah, it is my understanding that the mayor did push for the
He's
roundabout.
been pushing for this forever. But in the interest of saving money, I'd like to know that somebody looked at doing extended right turn lanes down Pierce Lane, extended left turns down Pierce Lane, and synchronizing your lights. I mean, it wouldn't cost us $6 million for that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I assume it was all investigated in phase 1.
No,
There
I
is
don't
a
think
phase
so.
1 report, so I can get I can get you a copy of
If you
that.
could get a copy of the report, I'd love to see
Yeah,
that,
for
because
sure.
nobody said anything
Yeah,
about that.
that's public information. So yeah, we can provide that.
So to try and expand on Dave's earlier question about the two roundabouts.
Mhm.
As an engineer, have you seen any this close together that had this many side streets affected? Because I'm thinking, sitting here in this church, I asked the question a couple of years ago, how wide the traffic study was. And it really wasn't much farther than where I'm sitting. So there was no research into the impact of every little side. I'm thinking on Sunday morning, when you folks try and leave church, you're gonna have a heck of a time getting out of here because the traffic no longer stops. There's no more light to stop that traffic. And if you could, right, evangelical, if you're coming out of any side street, I grew up about half a mile down the road. And I know coming out of my mom's neighborhood, there were times when you could sit there longer than you could at these lights, just waiting for traffic to stop. But you could count on the light turning red, stopping the traffic, giving that natural break. I don't think people realize what kind of impact this is going to have as they try and get out of these side streets. Because I don't think the research was done.
Yeah, and again, I'd have to look back at the phase one report to see what was studied on that. I don't know it off the top of my head, how, like you said, if they stopped here, if they went further down with their study. I live in Maryville and I live right next to a roundabout. So I use a roundabout almost daily. And there is a Maryville Baptist Church right there. And there is times where it does take a while to get out. My kids go to school on a road that doesn't have a roundabout, and now I'm in a stop condition, and that's free flow traffic. So there's a lot of time where I have to wait. So, I mean, that's just part of everyday travel.
Oh,
these
right.
days.
And that's the other thing. We're looking at something that's impacting like a half hour on both ends of the day. And there's a lot of, some of the things Dave mentioned that would have cost millions and millions less, that would have gotten us where we need to be, made the intersection much safer. And it just, I guess it was a mayor pushing.
When we were in this meeting in 2018, the simulations were totally off. But what they also said is it's going to be a 1-lane roundabout. Correct?
Yes, it is.
How wide, I've looked at some of the roundabouts throughout Southern Illinois. They don't have this kind of traffic. Now, maybe yours in Maryville is starting to pick up. But 2 of these together, and you're in 1 lane. How wide is that lane?
It's probably 16 feet wide plus the truck apron.
I do call generally a single lane roundabout lane would be 14.
Yeah, and there's a truck apron on the inside too. So obviously big trucks with trailers, their trailers would track over the truck apron. That's what it's there for.
Okay. And what happens when you have to expand this road to another lane or 2? What if you have to take it up another lane? What happens to this roundabout that's 1 lane?
I've never expanded a roundabout before, so.
It is possible to. Generally, the design of any intersection like this roundabout is designed to accommodate the expected traffic increase for the next 20 years. So that's what that's all designed for. For any roadway
Some
project,
future traffic, yeah.
20 years later.
Well, during your presentation, not yours, but your presentation in 2018, they didn't include River Air, Arrowwood, they didn't include those subdivisions and their traffic counts coming through.
Those are new subdivisions.
No, they didn't take the study that far west. And what you're trying to do is alleviate eastbound traffic in the morning. And with your model, if I'm correct, eastbound is going to have to yield to everybody else. They're going to have to yield to people coming from the north.
And they're going to have to yield. Am I wrong?
Well, when you're entering the roundabout, you yield to anyone in the roundabout.
But they're going to have to yield to the north southbound traffic.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on where the traffic's coming from, and if people are exiting, then you enter and.
No, I understand how it works, but the westbound is not going to have the freedom of movement because they're going to have to yield to everybody else that's coming from the east and the north to that roundabout. And what you're trying to do is alleviate the traffic coming from the west.
I don't know how to answer that question.
I think what he's trying to say, there's going to be so many people come from that direction. It's going to fill the roundabout, so nobody else can get into it until their rush is gone. So you're actually creating a bigger problem on the other end.
Yeah, I mean,
It's going to be great during non-rush hour periods. But the rush hour is just going to be so much worse because of this, depending on which time of day.
yeah, I mean, the purpose of the roundabout is the free flow traffic. I'm not sure. I don't know the traffic counts. I'm not really familiar with it, but yeah, and the one in Maryville I use, I'm coming off of a side street and 162 is free flow. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of times where we do have to wait, but you can usually jump in between because the people coming into the roundabout are slowing down to make sure there's not a car coming, so you can.
out here.
Well, I mean, the roundabouts are designed to slow you down as you approach
And
them.
I'm
so.
hoping as an engineer that you'll listen to some of these concerns, even though you're this far into the project, that if you see red flags, that you can bring them up. Because Dave was talking about the traffic, they had a diagram that showed the traffic flow, which was, maybe at 2 a.m. on a Sunday night traffic flow. Because and I asked them how they did it.
We don't do counts on Sunday nights.
Well, I'm just saying, that was just an example, because what they did is they took the daily count, they extrapolated over a 24-hour period, and that's not realistic. So that this little thing that they were trying to sell to the public was nowhere close to reality.
In the morning, it's bumper to bumper.
Yes, that's
Before
right.
you can see down the road.
Yeah, right.
And
That's-
it's bumper to bumper. Do a right turn on red.
Yep.
It's hard to do a right turn on red because they're just bumper to bumper.
Right.
And nobody wants to let anybody in, and it's gonna happen with the roundabout. You're not gonna get out.
Yeah, I mean,
But Norwood.
I would like to have a turn.
Go ahead.
We need to be respectful. So we're now at a point where it's going to begin in January, and as a homeowner, my big concern is maintaining property values and minimal damage to our property. Can you tell me aesthetically what they're doing around it, in the center of it? Has that all been plotted out?
Yeah, we do have a landscaping plan for the center of the roundabouts.
And noise reduction? Is that part of it?
I don't think the landscape is supposed to reduce noise. The noise level shouldn't change. It's the same traffic you had stop. I mean, you're actually free flow to a point, free flow. You should be less stopped traffic than with signals. So
I get, yeah, that's one of my concerns.
It's different things to your house.
It does.
And you look like you're eliminating the truth that we planted. And that takes the buffer per house.
Not to
But that's
mention
where we
the
have to
sound
discuss
of,
it.
maybe we need support from law of Godfrey to help with that because of speeding and the noise pollution from the cars that hot rod it through.
yeah,
Which-
and as far as the trees we're removing, we should only be removing trees that we have to build. If there's any trees beyond that you feel don't need to be removed, definitely point that out as part of the negotiation. Also part of the negotiation, you guys can talk about the trees. Whether or not they can be replaced on a different property or, your personal parcel or as the trustee
Mainly
part
the
of the
street.
roadway. Yeah, I mean, we're only buying what we need to. Obviously, we can't add trees on property we don't own,
Sure.
but that can be part of the negotiations.
And were we supposed to have already received some sort of letter about land acquisition already?
I'm sorry.
Were the property owners, did they already receive a letter about land acquisition as far as an offer? I have not. Okay. No, I'm Nancy. One front neck, right next door. I've not received, other than the initial survey that they did, I've not received anything.
People that were initially invited to the meeting were the people who had already received the offers. So yours is coming.
Oh, I see.
It's
Okay,
coming.
that's all I wanted to know. Okay.
So, Angel, we talked to you about.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. You had a question.
2819. And I just wondered, with all the paperwork that we received, that homeowner is not included.
Is that?
Yes, and she can't get out the back way. There's people on the next street, Ridgedale.
Well, then she will be. Because we were looking at the map and I said. But I don't see what her front. Facing the other direction. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Any other questions?
Yeah, on Norwood Lane, especially during school. If it weren't for those stoplights there, making a left and right out of Norwood would be almost impossible. If those that's what stopped it. That's the only, especially when St. Ambrose and the schools let out before and after. They're coming, if they don't have to stop, you're not gonna be there like 30 seconds. You're gonna be there till they empty the school parking lot.
Yeah, but the way the roundabouts are
I-
laid out, you're not gonna have bumper to bumper through the roundabout. People have to ease into it. They have to yield to oncoming traffic. There will be gaps. I know from personal experience in the one in Maryville, there are gaps.
There'll be accidents.
That's an advantage for the left turns for those who are concerned about the left turns. Because you can make a right and there's another roundabout that you just enter to go the opposite direction.
Convenient.
Yeah, and that's how you can turn left.
I may be mistaken with Norwood and stuff. When we went to the 2018 meetings, I thought they showed one of the plans had kind of a designated road that took them over into a roundabout. Is that, yes?
Yeah, that actually was
Homer.
started at Frontenac, went across where Norwood, pick up folks at Norwood and would dump off the next roundabout. And that's no longer in the plan. That was the plan they showed us back then.
Yeah, if they don't have a way out, it's directly on the street.
Does anybody have any questions about this, the phasing layout that we passed out and the closure?
I just had a quick question. You were talking about the landscaping. Do you know exactly what that's going to be? Or just because I see how Illinois takes care of stuff, I know it's an election year, so they're keeping things cut a lot.
Or who that is going to be.
Yes.
I'd like to get in touch.
We'll have an agreement. We will have an agreement with the city of Godfrey. So
Okay.
they will be the ones to maintain it. We'll put it in as part of the construction project. I think it's boxwood, bushes and daylilies. It has to be less than 3 feet high for sight distance.
Okay.
So they're
Thank you.
small. And sod, right? Or rock? No, sod, mulch.
I have a question. What about pedestrian traffic? My wife and I routinely walk across over to Deadrian Park
Mhm.
and the little, can't think of the name of it now, but the little subdivision over there across from Priest. We depend on those lights to run across when we got a chance.
Yeah, there
There
will
won't be anything.
There will be crossings, there's cut throughs in the medians, and there will be plenty of signs. You have, as far as the signage go, you stop for pedestrians. I know obviously as a pedestrian, you wouldn't just trust that they're gonna stop, but they should stop for you to cross.
Okay.
It's a shared use path, so I think it's 6 feet
like a
or
red
8
light
feet
better.
wide. Do you remember? So it's,
Roundabouts are typically designed so that you have to go 20 to 25 miles. signs up, put markings up. It comes down to police enforcement and what to make sure.
Okay, on the roundabout, one of the problems is, well, no, at the stoplights. One of the problems is the hill headed west, coming up. People run that red light all the time. They don't see us on the other side and we can't see them coming. In the plan for making this roundabout, are you going to lower that hill some so that there is more visibility of the traffic coming from the west so that they can see us and we can see them?
I don't think, Marie might be better to answer. I don't think we're doing any major profile revisions.
Well, I think you better look into it. It is a huge, huge issue up there. I mean, we're scared to turn left on a left turn light.
Yeah, and that, again, that's a benefit of a roundabout design is to slow them down, bringing them into the roundabouts. Yeah, but that's a straight shot. So with the roundabouts, they have to approach, you're coming in at an angle, you're not, it's not a straight shot. So you have to slow down and make that.
So, and then who's in charge of the speed limit along? Is that Godfrey? Sue Godfrey?
It's
Because the
probably-
speed limit sign doesn't change to 35 until like right there. And so people are flying, going 45 miles an hour when they get here, and then they don't slow down until you get right here to this intersection. And so many of them don't even slow down at all.
Yeah, I mean, that will be revised with the
So I
roundabout.
would
We'll
think they would
bring them in.
that back further.
Yeah, we'll be slowing them down coming into the roundabout, so. Sorry, the gentleman over here had the mic. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I've actually got a question about like the drainage.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming some of the drainage is gonna have to be rerouted.
Mhm.
I live at number 3, so everything runs down to a culvert at the end of my property, or at the edge of my property, number 2. And then that culvert dumps into my backyard. So I'm assuming there's gonna be extra drainage coming through. Is there anything that's gonna be done to address that?
Well, the way drainage design, is approached is that you will maintain the flow in each direction in the same capacity. So we won't be taking water that went in a different direction and sending it in the opposite direction. It'll be the same.
Well, but wouldn't it be more funneled now with how the road lays out? Will it be more funneled? It has to go somewhere. So like,
Right.
where is it going to run off to?
Well, the pipes go under the ground and then they go towards, they eventually end in a network that it has the same destination that it has now.
Mhm.
You see what I mean?
It's his backyard.
It's called drainage drainage.
Unfortunately, if the water already goes that direction, it's not gonna get any better with our job, that's for sure.
I know it's not gonna get better. I'm worried about it getting worse. That's my problem.
Yeah,
Why are you running something from number 1 and 2 or something?
we aren't changing the flow of the water as is. I mean, if it's already flowing in that direction, that's just the natural flow of the water. We're not changing. The water off the roundabout will go into inlets and underground, but it will eventually open to, well, like I said, the way it's designed is to go the same direction it's been going.
So there's inlets in the roundabout itself or around the, near the roundabout.
There's an inlet in the roundabout, but then pipes under the ground carry the water to the direction that they're going, that the water's going now. It ends up in the same place.
So all this water, contaminated water that comes off, I do environmental work. So all the contaminated water that's coming off the roundabout, it's going to go into these, the inlets. It's going to be filtered and running.
There is a detention basin, and I don't know exactly what the network is that feeds into that at the moment.
Okay, so I mean, the water eventually is going to flow back to a creek that goes to a couple nature preserves. Have there been any environmental impact studies done at all?
Well, one of the benefits to building with concrete, and there's not an alternative concrete. Asphalt will not be brought in at this point. Concrete roundabout, and asphalt is really the contaminator with the petroleum product.
Well, actually, if you go to any parking lot and look and see all the oil, that's oil that drips off cars. And that's why when it first starts raining, there's oil and grime, that's why it's so slick. So all that's gonna be washing down into the nature preserves as well. Well, if you have inlets in the roundabout running it that way. Has that been studied as
Well,
far
the,
as?
the inlets and the culverts are just replacing the open ditches that are there now. So like we said, it's the same patterns that it currently is.
Okay.
Once it hits the open ditches, then it can absorb into the ground. It probably isn't gonna run, miles from here into a nature preserve, but.
Okay.
I mean, I guess.
We'll be looking into that, just so you know, because dealing with the engineers in the first phase of the project, they were not very truthful. They split us up in meetings and actually got up and spoke for us and told bold-faced lies. So pardon me if I'm a little distrustful.
Okay.
I want to come back to the runoff. It's going to go into inlets. Where are those inlets?
Just within the roundabouts, where
And
the
then
curb
they're
and
gonna
gutter
empty
is.
out where? Because you're going to put them into pipes that are going to direct it to where?
Yes, well, some of it will go back into the open ditches, on the ends of the project or the side roads. Some of it will go towards the detention pond that we're creating. So, I mean, we don't have the drainage plans with us today, but we can definitely present those, and we can send them to you guys, or we will probably have that kind of stuff at the public meeting in November. But yeah, I mean, we can show you guys that stuff. We just don't have it with us today. It's between our roundabouts and Cook Street on the opposite side, the detention pond.
Right.
So we're relocating Cook Street, kind of taking it a little bit further north and that in
Why
between.
are you doing that and taking all the people off the property? Are you aware of the traffic on pickup in the afternoon? The cars are almost out of your lane. And you're taking away that road, our road. Why don't you just dead end the frontage road at the front of Eagle Yellow? Then you don't have to spend all that money buying from Eagle Yellow and build that road.
I'm sorry,
We don't
Bill.
need- There's a frontage road that goes
Yes.
from Pierce up to. used to be Dixon.
Yeah, that's what we're
Just
reconstructing.
dead end it right there. So a lot of people jump in and out those entrance. And
Well-
don't even- there's no reason to have that. Go that any further.
I mean, the
And you
road.
don't have to buy all the individual plans.
The road exists currently as a pass through, so we wouldn't generally dead end a road
Why not?
because there's current access. So the people that use that road to get to that church probably wouldn't be very happy with us.
I am a member of Eagle Yellow.
And the whole church would be okay with us dead ending that road.
We talked about it. Most people don't even use that road anyway. The people that use that road are people who are up from there cutting through. And they shouldn't have to anymore if they have these awesome roundabouts.
True. We can look at that.
I want to finish up on the drainage thing.
Mhm.
You're gonna have these drains coming out. They're gonna be underground, they're gonna come out. Where are they gonna come out on the surface?
There's gonna be.
You say they're gonna come out where they
multiple-
normally come out.
I mean, multiple locations. It will open to a open ditch like it is now.
But I know, but you're directing water to an open ditch instead of water just going to an open ditch. That's why I'm asking what you're doing with those lines.
We don't have those plans with us today.
Plans with us here, and it's very complicated. There's, hundreds.
Multiple places.
There's 50 inlets. There's a lot of stuff. So it will be at the public meeting.
The drawings will be?
Yeah, so we'll have boards at the.
Okay, will you have stuff? Will you have sheets for the public to look at other than just the board? I mean, I really,
can do handout, yeah.
we're getting impacted. I would like to know how that
Mhm.
overlays onto our property.
So are you saying that?
Front neck.
At that meeting, are you suggesting there's something?
No, I'd like to see something before that meeting. You have surveys, you have plats.
Mhm.
You're going to put them up on that poster board for the trustees of Frontenac. It would be nice to know how that.
Yeah,
roundabout
I think
is
they were
gonna lay
gonna
out on the
pass
property.
around a sign-in sheet with email, place to write down your email. We can email you guys out our preliminary plans. We can send you the drainage. We can send you the plan sheets that have the property lines. We can send you guys that stuff. We just don't have it with us today. We knew we were coming to help support land acquisition, so we were just kind of support staff to answer questions. Sorry, I wasn't prepared fully.
Yeah, and we had recently had traffic control conversations, what point will we be impacting entrances and that type of thing. So we kind of fed off of that when we got this meeting. We were
Yeah.
starting to talk about traffic control.
Yeah, that's why I had them bring the staging layout. I thought that's really what everyone's question is going to be, access.
Traffic control during the construction period, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
That's what we were ready about.
that's what we
It's gonna
passed
be-
out.
There's just a lot to know about this.
Yes, I
And
understand.
the advantage of the public meeting also, if you're coming to that and having the board, is that we will be there. And we will be able to tell you all the details of where all the pipes go. But, from my memory, I couldn't tell you where an inlet comes in.
And I understand that, but it would be nice to be prepared. Instead of looking at the board and not getting all your answers, I like to look at the stuff before I go in, so I can put my questions down.
Mhm.
Now, your access during this construction, it's going to be what it's going to be. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, we have a layout.
Okay, so Cook Street's gonna be one phase.
Yeah, well,
And
sort
then-
of two, because it's going to be done half at a time to remain access to the
Okay,
church.
and you're gonna do 2 roundabouts at the same time.
Yes.
So Frontenac and Norwood are gonna use what routes to get out?
That's a little side road we're building.
Temporary, roadway. Southern streets over to the street. So that those are.
Is that Ridgedale?
And then the few parcels that front directly on the area of center construction. Like, what happens with those? Depending on the size of the entrance and where the access is, either construction is half of the time. For the property owner, or the contractor works out an agreement with the property owner to come up with an alternate access while their entrance is being reconstructed.
So you're saying you're gonna have a frontage road on the south side?
Yes, there's a temporary road on the south
Temporary
side.
road, frontage road that takes Frontenac and Norwood over to Juniper or Ridgedale.
Ridgedale.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, it's gonna be what it's gonna be, and you're not gonna change it. We're gonna figure it out when we get there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's going to be an
Yeah.
inconvenience for sure. The
Yeah.
plan is to build both roundabouts in one construction season. So get in and get out as quick as we can to open it up to you guys, so you don't have to take temporary side roads or detours and all that jazz. If we were constructing the roundabouts in segments to keep traffic running through them, it was going to be a nightmare. It was like 7 different stages, I think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
definitely more than one.
No,
construction.
just get it all over with.
Right, yeah.
Rip the Band-Aid off,
Rip the-
get it done.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
the plan. Go ahead, sir. Mhm. Mhm. There's one where Homer Adams and Delmar come together. Norwood comes in between, right? Norwood comes in between.
We're here, that's not really gonna affect our road going down in there, is it? The Norwood?
Norwood will be a right in, right out only. So when you come out, you only take a right, you go through the roundabout. Yes.
You go like pretty much goes right. If you wanna come like to the church today, you have to go to the left. You won't be able to do that. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, you just have to go, you have to go right through the roundabout and then back the other way.
Okay, I just didn't understand what the other roundabout was gonna be. There's no other thing.
Yeah, the bigger sheets that we passed out, I'm guessing you didn't get a set. We only had like 8. But those show both roundabouts on the bigger set. Okay.
So when we come out on Frontenac, there's going to be an access road to the right only.
Yes.
Just a minute. I'm getting to it, Tom. I'm getting there.
No, it's a bigger.
I don't have the larger one. My main question is, okay, so we're only going to be able to go to right during construction then, right?
Yes.
So my brother, who I placed in assisted living and is on hospice, that lives across the street over here in DeAdrian. How am I going to get there? What is my route going to have to be? It's going to have to be Godfrey Road to Stamper and back down to get
Yeah, I mean,
across the
our
street?
signed detour will be down the River Road and then
Down the,
Clifton Hills. That's our signed detour, but the local, you guys are gonna take,
State routes.
uh-huh.
So it's a long, but everybody understands. Whatever local streets they know.
yeah, so Stamper. I'll let him finish, so we're not talking over each other.
So we've got to drive through Bridgedale like it's. Yes. You got to be kidding.
Are you?
That's ridiculous.
So even,
I'm sorry, is all this gonna be closed? So people live out here, they want to go to Schnucks, how they get to Schnucks?
Either take the sign detour or take, where's the sign?
The River Road?
Yes.
So if I live right over there and I want to run the Schnucks, I gotta take the River Road?
Well, most likely what you're gonna do.
And what the River Road's for?
What you're, if the road, there's, accommodations for that. If the road floods, construction gets shut down. the road goes back.
And how does the fire department ambulances travel to there?
We're maintaining access across here. To be able to get, fire service through, they use the underground.
This is ridiculous.
so is there a way that I'm going to be able to get to Godfrey Road without going south first? Oh, okay, okay. Richdale and Shoto, okay.
And how long would that be?
And then,
Yeah, one construction season.
Basically, spring to fall.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's,
The alternative is not to do it at all. Stop wasting the money.
Hey, folks, let's remember to be respectful. It's okay to have passion, but keep it under control, please.
I guess the next question, Angel, when do we meet with you? I mean, you've got three trustees here. The subdivision is close. And we've got to go over all the details because they're really. We got time.
sir in the back, you had a question? Did you have?
Maintaining access to the church down the road at all times. But Frontman and Norwood, you can convert it to Ridgedale and then Top Hollow all the way to State Street.
Yeah, I mean, we know it's an inconvenience. I understand that. That was the best option we had to maintain access to the dead end roads. Same way. Yeah, it's a 2-lane road. Go ahead.
Number one.
That exhibit might be.
It'd be between number one and number two. So. Angel, I guess another question I have, if it's for you or for them. You have a temporary easement on Frontenac. What I'm curious about. It's between 1 and 2. This map is between 1 and 2, unless you've changed this. Okay. So there's a temporary easement on there. I understand that. What are they going to use in that? What are they going to be doing in that area that's temporary?
That temporary easement is to be able to do construction work in that area because there isn't right of way. So it's to construct the roadway. And also to be able to construct temporary access and remove it at the end.
Okay.
Any utility work that needs to be done in that area.
Okay, so for a 2 or 3 year period, you're not going to be staging equipment on that.
They're not allowed to block access. They have to.
No, stage equipment on there. At the end of the day, they leave, they put their equipment there and it stays there.
Generally not. If you
Okay.
want that to be a commitment, that would be part of your negotiations.
Well, I mean, I don't want to be number 1 and 2, and for a 2 year period or a 3 year period or whatever, I'm sitting here looking at heavy
Right.
equipment.
I mean, usually a
every day.
temporary easement, like he said, is to build the temporary road or it's to construct. So it's
Normally-
usually not a huge area. So they don't.
That's how it's
put
always,
equipment.
that's how it's always been when I've been involved. And I just want to make sure that's the way it's going to stay.
Yeah, if this is a bigger temporary easement you're looking at, it's probably because of that road, that bypass road.
In general, what we find with easements is that you need to be sure that what you're requesting, you know, is part of the process.
Yeah.
And then it gets rolled into the plan set for the special provision.
Right. Yeah.
David, if I could interrupt for a hot second, we're facing the same problem here at the church. They're looking for an easement right at the front of West Delmar. We know construction equipment will be there to block the appearance of the church and cause confusion getting in and out. So you're not alone.
Mhm.
That situation, that is a major concern, and that's something that should be brought up during the negotiation. And
Yeah.
rolled into the final, decision.
Your temporary easement, the purpose on the actual document is for construction work for the trustee department. Why do you have it?
Okay, but we can talk about, we're going to be talking about those details with you. So that we don't have to waste their time.
But everything that comes through the negotiating process, if it has a limitation, it will end up with cost.
Mhm.
Because we need to make sure that we get out.
No, I understand that.
Mhm. Any other questions? Yes.
You're, ju-
Yeah, and
you're,
again.
ju- you're just a messenger.
Right, exactly. And again, we are trying to put together a public involvement meeting and they'll send out. Well, it's not involvement in the same sense as phase 1. Yeah, information, you're right.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's definitely informational. At this point, it's just to discuss access, but it can also, we can talk about drainage and things like that as well. And I can give you my card. So if you want to email me, I can. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll get back to me teaching today. Again, I do apologize for putting you, but I thought that you guys would bring some maps and charts and everything, but that's coming the next time. Okay, I wanted to make sure that the stakeholders and the property owners on Norwood Lane and trustees of Frontenac were here. And I know some people couldn't make it because of the time. And again, I apologize for that. I tried to get a later meeting so that we would have more people, more participation, but it kind of worked out this way. So when IDOT has their meeting, I'm sure it'll be at a different time so that more people can attend. But by that time, again, now, it's kind of a done deal. At that time, they're just going to show you what it's going to look like. But I gotta tell you a short story before we get into the land acquisition portion. On Sunday, went to church Sunday, and the pastor was talking about stretching. And he said he made a point that he's a new pastor at our church, and the previous pastors had done a little bit, to do some improvements. And when he came in, he thought he wanted to do more. But we had members of the church that had been there for a long, long time, and they weren't too keen on his new ideas. But what he said was, sometimes we need to stretch and allow us, in order for us to grow or do things differently or do things better or accept change, we have to stretch. Stretching, we know sometimes can be a little bit uncomfortable. And relating that to this project, it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but in the very end, I'm sure IDOT's doing this for the community to be better and to improve the traffic flow. And in the end, I use a roundabout, I'm from Belleville, and I use the roundabout that's on 13. And it takes some getting used to, because you've never had to drive like that. But in the end, it turns out to be better. So I'm asking you all to stretch and understand that it may be uncomfortable, but it's certainly in the end going to be better off for everybody. Now let's talk about the land acquisition process. I passed out, most of you got an offer package. And again, the reason I needed to have the groups here, because there's so many people involved. For example, I'm going to talk to you right now, the Norwood Lane people. There's 10 different people. I'm going to say 10 different people that have to agree. And I'm not going to talk I'm not going to talk about specific dollars, but I just want to give you a good example of how difficult this is going to be from a land acquisition standpoint. If you got 10 people that received an offer from IDOT for $10, right? That means that those 10 people, because they each have an interest, they're stakeholders on that private road. That means that each 10 people are going to get $1. And some of those individuals on Norwood Lane, some of the properties are in joint tenancy, which means there's a husband and wife, correct? That means that dollar now has to be divided. Somebody's going to get 50 cents and the other person's going to get 50 cents. And then in some cases, out of this same group of 10 people, the properties, 2 people could be 2 cousins or a brother and sister in tenants in common. So if one of those brothers and sisters pass away, guess what happens to their 50 cents? It goes to their heirs. So that means that now the 10 people may end up being 20, because you got to keep, on a tenants in common situation, you got to keep finding the heir. Who's entitled to that 50 cents? And that 50 cents may be split now into 10 cents and 5 cents. So it's so complex for the individuals on Norwood Lane that we're going to have to work on that, right? But I just wanted to point out how complex that land acquisition piece is, even though we're just talking, and I said $10, but you know what I mean. I just wanted to give you an idea. Now let's talk about the Frontenac people. On the Frontenac, and I'm assuming that there's, you have articles of incorporation, or you have a trust agreement that identifies who's authorized to convey real property and the officers that are in charge. So in your end, it's going to be a little bit easier, because we're only dealing with those individuals, although we're dealing with the whole group, because everybody would have an interest. But when IDOT gives you your $10, the $10 is going to go to the trust. So that's the way that works. There's lots of documents, and I don't believe I didn't send all of the documents to your either group. I don't think you got all your documents, because there's so many documents, and I didn't know whose name to put on what. But you got a bunch. Okay, I have more. I have more. I didn't give you everything. But so let's go through real quick. I want to go through the land acquisition part of it. I talked about the $9, right? Now, what happened in land acquisition? IDOT had your property appraised. Somebody may have come out. You may have seen some people come out walking the property. They had it appraised, and they had it, in some cases, if they thought that the offer was going to be under 10,000, then they may have done an in-house appraisal. But if it was over 10,000, then they had it appraised, and then they had it reviewed. And those are independent people. except for the waiver evaluation, the one that's under 10,000, could have been somebody in-house. But those documents were reviewed. Then they produced the offer. And then I come in to meet with you or prepare the documents. So let's say that I've given you the brochures and Patsy has those. I think that most of you have those. These are the brochures that speak to your rights. And that brochure explains, as a property owner, it says highway improvement and property rights. And it tells you if you're selling your property to the state, what your rights are. This is a good document to become familiar with, because what's going to happen, or what I'm not saying what's going to happen, what could happen, and we're talking about the Norwood Lane people, is let's say that 2 or 3 of you decide that you're okay with the offer and you want to move forward. But there's one person that says, I'm not happy, or there's one person that we just can't find because we don't know who that person is. Maybe that person used to own the property, but they've sold and they've moved, but they're still entitled. So that means that we can't move forward with your group. So what's going to happen probably is they're going to have to file for condemnation. Now that affects everybody, only because you all have to agree. So I may be coming to you saying, hey, do you know how I can find XYZ person? So this project, of course, is under the threat of eminent domain, only because the project is for the greater public. It's to improve the roads for safety. But if you have any questions about documents, about, and one thing I do want to point out, IDOT will accept any reasonable counteroffer. But let me tell you what's going to happen. If you want to make a counteroffer, because all of you by now know what, for example, Norwood Lane people know what the offer is. The trustees of Frontenac know what their offer is. I hope, right? Okay. So if you wanted to make a counteroffer, I'm going to say, this is what I want you to do. At the bottom of that agenda is my email address. I may say, well, email me something in writing to tell me what your counteroffer is, because I'll need to submit that to IDOT. Not only that, IDOT's going to need something that supports your counteroffer. So if IDOT, yes, ma'am. You may still be in the appraisal phase. I can find out if you, yes, email me and ask me, and I'll find out exactly where you are in that process. Okay. Remember now, not everybody was invited, or not. I shouldn't say invited. Not everybody was, well, basically sent out an invite to the meeting, because not everybody's offer, they haven't received all the offers yet. But I wanted to get this group in so that we can talk about the complexity on the land acquisition. You have a question?
Yeah, I'm speaking only for myself. And there being, we count with the proposal that went in about.
That's, now I want to hold that thought, but I want to talk to Ms. Owen. One of the reasons is my understanding that I was told on your street, IDOT wants to acquire so much of that street, right? So much of the front part of the street so that they can maintain it. Is that correct? IDOT's going to be maintaining that portion that they acquire. Just to the end of the median. That's right. They're not taking, no. They're not taking just a portion, and it's highlighted on those plats that you received in green. Who's maintaining the street now?
Oh, I mean, neighbors together.
Right.
When I was working.
And see, that's the way that part of the street IDOT, part of where IDOT's acquiring, they're going to take care of it, but the rest of it is still going to be on those stakeholders and owners on that street to maintain the back part of it. I can tell you that that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen. Yeah, so you can do, but I don't think IDOT's going to, I can present anything you want me to present back to them. And then IDOT will make a decision, but I doubt if they're gonna do that. They're not gonna get the city involved, but you know. Yes, sir. Now, I do, and you're on Norwood. I'm gonna pass this to Patsy and let her share this map with you so you can see. Sorry about that. I'll get that up. This is a plat map. Hold on. I'm not a good teacher today. This is a plat map of the Norwood. And I'm gonna let you pass this to him. What's highlighted in green, that's what IDOT's gonna acquire. It's only up to a certain point. So, yeah, you guys that private road, that private street, they're only gonna do so much of that so that they can maintain it.
Those kind of things we're gonna need, like the temporary easement. We can't count on it, so we don't- if we plan to settle that one out.
Now, you have, you didn't get a plat map? Yeah. No,
We-
this is the one that's highlighted right here. That's in green. Yes, okay.
No, that came as a package to him. From Delmar. So I think.
So this is just us, but
So now that you all have received the offer, the written offer, and IDOT wants to keep moving forward. So you may receive what we call a 60-day letter. Now, let me tell you about the 60-day letter. The 60-day letter basically is like a clock, it's ticking. It's going to say, from the date of this letter, you've been given an offer. From the date of this letter, you have 60 days to make a decision. You got 60 days to say, I accept the offer, I'm going to counter the offer, but something's got to happen. Because remember, they're on a timeline and they're moving, they're going to continue to move. So you have the 60 days.
Angel, if I
at the
could
end-
just mention that the church received a 60-day letter
Yeah.
as of October 3rd. So this is very real. I
Mhm.
think Angel already knows we're going to do a counter, but you need to keep in mind how this is happening.
Right, so the 60 days is the clock. And you need to be making a decision. Otherwise, they're going to file for condemnation. Now, let me tell you about what I've been doing right-of-way work for over 20 years, and I've been in condemnation hearings, and this is what happens. If the state files condemnation, and some of you may say, yes, I want to do this, and some of you may say, no, I don't. What's going to happen is if the state offered you $10, and for some reason we couldn't get the document signed, they're going to take that $10 and they're going to deposit into the courts. And they're going to have a hearing, and it's called a preliminary just compensation hearing. And Judge, I know you know what I'm talking about. What's going to happen at the hearing is that IDOT's going to come to the table with their appraisers. Hopefully I won't be there, but they're going to come to the table and they're going to have their people, and you're going to come to the table with your person, right? Didn't I just tell you that we're talking about $10, right? So what's going to happen, they deposited this $10 and the judge is going to say, okay, I'm going to listen to IDOT and I'm going to listen to the property owners. And the judge is going to set what's called the preliminary just compensation. And the judge may say, okay, IDOT, you offer 10 and you're the property owner, you're saying you want 100. Well, I'm just going to give whatever, $15. I'm going to approve that preliminary amount. So now IDOT's got to put another $5 onto this $10 because the judge said $15. You know what's going to happen with that $15? As the property owners, you're going to have to figure out how to get that $15. And IDOT in the meantime is going to go on with the project. They're going to do exactly what they had planned to do. They paid you, they deposited the money, but the project will still go on. So it's so important for us to come together so that none of that happens, because it's going to cost you guys a lot of money to get that $15 out of the courts. You're going to have to go get an attorney and he'll probably charge you 12 of that $15. So we're going to work together. We're going to work through this. But I just need to know, I need you to know how complex this whole thing is, it really is. But in the very end, those roundabouts, you'll get used to them. Right now, they seem that you don't want to stretch because you've not had to. So, but I'm here to answer questions. I'm here to help you through the process. I can't not make a decision for IDOT. If you tell me something, you submit a counter, I got to go to IDOT and I say, IDOT, here's the counter offer from the trustees of Frontenac, or here's the counter offer from the stakeholders and the property owners on Norwood Lane, and anybody else that's here. So then IDOT will make a decision whether they want to accept or what. IDOT will not counter. They will not counter. They will not come back and say, I counter back at them. They're not going to do that. They're going to either accept or reject your counter. So if they reject your counter, I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to say, they rejected your counter. Why don't you guys go back to the drawing board and try something else? But remember, once you get that 60 days, you got to make a decision. 60-day letter. Did you hear that? Okay. Oh, they got a whole lot of attorneys. I don't know, because it may be somebody, it'll be somebody local. It'll be somebody local, but I don't know who those are. But they got a lot of attorneys. But so do you. But still, we don't want to get to that point. We want to be able to resolve it if we can. It's going to be a little easier for the trustees of Frontenac because we're not talking about everybody trying to sign. Collectively, you got to make a decision, but not everybody has to sign. Whereas on Norwood, everybody's got to sign. That's just. So anyway, oh, question. Mhm. Absolutely. But everybody's got to be together. I can't come to individual houses. Right, right. And you know what I can do? I can do a weekend if we need to. You know, so if we can do something, if it's going to be in the early afternoon or early evening, I can do that. I don't have a problem with that. But see, that's the problem. The only thing I could send out a letter, but I don't have any phone numbers. You know what? And as far as Norwood is concerned, there's new owners, okay? But there's a difference in, I've been saying stakeholders and property owners. And I'm telling you what I found. When the properties were sold to the new individuals, for some reason, that interest to that private road did not get transferred to the new owner. It's still in the old owner's name. That's the problem. We don't even know, you know, and the old owner may be passed away. It's just a lot. Mhm. Now, what's the last name? What's the first name? See that I don't even know that. Okay.
Yeah, so the letter, it still has, the actual letter itself is addressed. Oh, Maggie, my girlfriend,
What's her last name? No, I meant her name. Yes. Now I sent her a letter, but if and I gave everybody a title report because a title search was ran to identify the owners of record. Her name is not showing up as the owner of record. She may have bought the house. That's my point. She may have bought the house, but for some reason, the interest to that private road was not transferred to her. It's still showing in the other person's name. So
But what you might do there is go back to the title company and bring it to their attention that they didn't convey that when you bought the property, and let them look to get a corrected deed
Right.
or make a correction on a mistake.
Right.
I would do that immediately because she's
Right.
got 60 days.
Right. And then, so that'll screw everybody up if it's not corrected. Yes, ma'am. Now, are you on, you should have gotten the package. Well, we certainly mailed one. Seriously, we certainly mailed one. Unless it's still floating in the certified, because we sent out certified. Yeah, I have your name. Yeah, I have you. Yeah. So anyway, if you have my email address at the bottom, email me and I'll send you everything via email. Okay. Because I definitely have you. Okay. Any other questions? You had a question. I can't tell if you're talking.
when it comes to where do I get more detail about that?
See, I don't have any, do you have any knowledge of the utility relocation? Well, you know what? If you send me an email, I'll find out, but I don't have anything to do with the utility relocation. I know Ameren is one of the owners that we are buying property from as well. So, right. But if you email me, we'll try to find out. Again, our email is at the bottom of that agenda, and we can't answer everything today, but I do want you to remember about my pastor says stretching, because I think that in the end, this is going to be great for everybody. If you don't have any questions and you want to schedule a meeting, I'm sorry, I have terrible allergies. But if you don't have any questions, do we have the sign-in sheet, everybody?
No, everybody did not sign it. We have a lot of names listed.
Oh, there's two. Yes, ma'am. Hi, Lisa. We talked. Now, you know you're going to be getting another. Can you look at that? Okay. Okay. Anybody else have anything else? So the trustees are front that. Did you want to meet now or meet later? Once the meeting is.
I think you need to meet with, I've got engineers so we can figure out about our trees and exactly going in or not.
Don't leave. Don't you leave.
But I mean, I'm not
But
necessarily
this is part of the question about getting the overlay of the roundabouts. I mean, I know what you're taking, but show me where the roundabout is. So we know what we know. I want to see the water, I want to see the drainage thing. Because you're saying a couple things that make me uncomfortable. When you're putting water into an inlet and then to a ditch. That's a little bit different than natural fall. Okay. But, and Angel, you've already, I mean, nobody discussed it in the offer, but we all know it's there, so we know we have to discuss that. And that if this map is right, we know where we can start the trees we've got. And we know we can't put any where we want to put them. That's on
Right,
the
can't put them
property.
in the TE area and taking area.
Well, you gotta see what they're doing, so we can only go so far. If we can't plant those trees or save them or whatever, that's gonna be in the bid.
So,
Right. Yeah.
so you're gonna send me something and then I'll be able to send it out. Okay, okay. Okay, everybody, did you get the other sign-in sheet, Patsy? And if anybody did not get an offer, your neighbor? No, you know the one. Yes. No, she didn't, because she didn't. Because they only told me 9 people, but that's just 10. Oh, really? And phone numbers. It's so important for me to have phone numbers and email addresses. Please, please, please give them. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for Thank you to the church for allowing us to have the meeting here. It's a beautiful sanctuary, and I